Good evening, everyone. This is IMG Research Academy. In IMG Research Academy, well, now we are called Global Research Initiative. We're a team of physicians from across the world, US, Canada, and every other place that have come together to see how we can pool resources together to help ourselves. Initially, we're research focused, but now we see that a lot of us are either getting into residency or trying to go to the next phase of their life in terms of the academic trajectory, master's, PhD. So we often meet on Sundays to have scientific tables where we discuss how to, break down the barriers of, climbing your career, the ladders of your career. We've had multiple discussions in the past. Today, we'll be focusing our searchlight on the Canadian pathway, how to get into residency specifically in Canada as a foreign trained physician. We have two experts within our midst who fortunately or God's hand in everything they did, they got into the Canadian residency. So they're going to be talking from, hindsight, looking from hindsight on what it is to get into the Canadian residency for those who will be watching this video maybe in 1,000 years to come or now. They're going to be guiding you through the nitbits, the nitty-gritty. It's going to be an hour conversation. My name is Dr. Okobi. I'm a family physician in training in the US, and hosting this is also Dr. Quinn. Dr. Quinn is in Canada, and the two guests that we have, two of them are great friends of mine. Dr. Chibuzo Okoronkwo, Dr. IJs, and they have a plethora of resume. But I would like them to talk about themselves. That way they could go to the extent of where they want. Dr. Chibuzo, will start from you. Just a little bit of introduction to the extent you want to introduce, and also, any other thing.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Chibuzo Okoronkwo, popularly known as Dr. Chi. I recently matched into the family medicine program at University of Saskatchewan. I'm going to be starting in July, and I completed medical school in Ukraine back in 2016. And I practiced in Nigeria for a while, about 5 years, then moved down to Canada in 2022. And so I'm very excited to be here. I'm more elated to be here with my mentor, Dr. IJ. She mentored me through my CARMS application and, reviewed my CV for me. So thank you, Dr. Eddie, and everybody here for this opportunity.
I mean, it's a pleasure meeting you. I've known Dr. Chibuzo for quite a while. I'll use the word an outstanding guy. Thank you for volunteering to do this. Dr. IJ, if you don't mind telling us a little bit who you are and any other thing you want to add.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is IJ. I go by IJ. So I'm also an internationally trained medical graduate. I migrated to Canada a very long time ago. Before I came to Canada, I had practiced in Nigeria and for close to 2 decades. And then when I came to Canada, I didn't quite like it. So I went to Ireland and did pediatrics. Life happened. I came back to Canada. And when I got back to Canada, I was told it's impossible to match into residency and that I should go through the practice ready assessment. At that time, I didn't know anything about it. And there wasn't any, a lot of informations, like groups like this didn't exist. But to the glory of God, I navigated my way somehow, and I became successful in the matching through CARMS.
Wow.
So I matched into family medicine.
Wow.
And yes, and just rounding off that, I also was accepted into the 3-year integrated leadership program, along with health system leadership and innovation program in U of T. So I'm kind of marrying the two programs together. It's been tough, but I'm getting through it. And so my passion to help IMGs was stemming from the fact that I found it so difficult to get help during my time. I cannot waste our time telling you the journey that I had to go through, but it's a blessing in disguise because it kind of helped me to know the, like the intricacies of all this Canadian thing
Yeah,
and
process.
what happens at what time and what should be done to match. Like it's very easy to match if you do the right thing, to be honest. So yeah, that's my
Thank you
story.
so
And
much.
I'm just rounding off the two programs and hoping to maybe do something more in the future where I continue to help our folks. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Maybe Dr. Payne, permit me to throw the first, baseline question. And this question probably is going to be in the mind of a lot of people. What is a Canadian pathway? I trained in Ukraine, Ghana, Egypt, and I'm thinking of coming to Canada. Why should I think of Canada? And what are the, what is the process? What is it all? What is it all about? I actually want to practice in Canada. For what reasons? Why would I even choose Canada to come and practice? Why not UK? Why not other things? So let's just get the basic understanding of this particular Canadian medical pathway that we're talking about.
So when I was, considering the various options that I had, for sure, I considered US, I considered UK, and I considered the third on my list. I never considered Australia. So for the US, I ruled out. I think the US had its pros, and it's great. Has great compensation for doctors. Has lots of information there about US residency pathway and a lot of success stories. However, I wasn't really comfortable with the context of raising my kids in the US and the violence around, the gun violence and things like that. And I think the immigration pathway also scared me because it's a little dicey. So I was like, oh, I ruled out the US. And I looked at the UK, which seemed like, more of the easiest pathway for doctors, easier to pass the exams. And but the cons for me was like the immigration pathway was also very dicey. It was becoming oversaturated and now becoming difficult to get into placements for GP training there. And the compensation was not great. So I looked at Canada. I was like, maybe Canada might be the best option. It has great, immigration pathway. You can easily get your PR at that time. And you could easily transition after 3 years into, citizenship. It was great for raising kids, like family context wise. I felt like it was safer for my kid, and it had good compensation for doctors as well. However, on the cons as well, it has some cons. So it was seemingly difficult to access information and to get into residency here. In fact, I had never heard of any success. I hardly heard of any success stories when I was trying to come here. So that was one, challenging thing. But I felt like the pros for me outweighed the cons. So that's why I chose Canada coming down here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Dr. Aja, what about you?
To be honest, I wish I'm not asked this question because my answer, most people here will find it very funny. Before I came to Canada, I didn't know a place called Canada. I only knew there was US. My family, friends, everybody was US or UK. And I didn't have the plan to live abroad. I used to go abroad, come back. I had a very good life back home. I was at the top of my career. I was one of the directors of one of the biggest like maritime companies and stuff. But something horrible happened to me in 2010. And in fact, two horrible things happened in 1 year. And I didn't get that support, that empathy, that how are you doing kind of thing. And this has always been what I do for others. And all everybody wanted was for me to come back to work, come back to the theater, come back to the office. I felt like I didn't matter. So after I recovered, I decided that I wanted to get away as far as possible from everyone and everything. So I convinced my husband to let us go on a holiday, a long holiday. And I thought about Australia, but I heard they have a lot of reptiles and snakes, and I have phobia for those things. So I wrote that off. US, I had relations and friends. I said, I don't want to see anyone. I was so broken.
You would have
I
told her
didn't
you
want
want to see me.
I didn't want to see anyone I knew. So we decided to come to Canada.
Yeah.
I actually had PR for about 3 years, but I didn't want to live abroad. So, but when that happened, when what happened, it was only the Canadian immigration that wrote me a letter that touched my heart, that made me feel, oh, someone actually cared. So that was what attracted me to come to Canada to rest. Then when I came to rest, something else happened, and within a space of 2.5 years, I had 3 kids. And what broke my heart actually had to do with the loss of my child. So unplanned, during that holiday, I got pregnant, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going home. I have my baby. So before I had that, as soon as I had that baby, before I was done nursing, I had another baby, and just like that. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? Go home or stay? And at that time, I already had my citizenship during that 3 years of having, because I already had my PR before coming.
Wow.
So my husband said, okay, maybe we should try. And trying means I have to do the exams. I have to start all over. And I had planned to retire at the age of 50, and I was already approaching 50. So somehow I saw my kids were in daycare and early school, and they were very happy. So I felt, okay, maybe I should give this a shot or go back to Ireland, but Nigeria is no longer an option. And so I started looking for how to navigate the system. But I didn't get the help that I needed. So I spent more time just nursing my kids, reading all the books in the world, trying to know what I should know and trying to just get my act together. But one thing I did right was to start verifying my documents with Physician Apply. And I will say that is very, very important, because that could take time. When I did the verification, I had the option of going back to Ireland to practice, but I had already fallen in love with Canada, so I decided to try the exams. So I started asking people, looking for like resources and advice and all that. All the people I spoke to or wrote to, I mean all, 100% told me it's impossible.
Yeah, we often hear that all the time.
To
But
be
before we
to
go
be
into
on to be honest, that story had changed, and we made it change.
yes.
I'm telling you this because my site right now has 7 IMGs, and 2 of them, to my shock, were people I mentored.
Wow.
And so I'm so happy, like we'll have to paint that town red soon when they
Yes.
start.
I
So
agree.
the story has changed. It's very, very possible to match if you do the right thing.
Hold your thought there, Dr. IJ,
Yeah.
before we go into who do the right thing. So let's, we're trying to build this narrative. So a lot of people, a lot of things motivate people to get into Canada, especially practice medicine, because they're now talking medicine. So the person has made up his mind based on different reasons. Dr. Chibuzo, let's go from, okay, now I've made up my mind, I'm a physician. What next should I do? Whether let's put this into perspective. One, the physician who's outside the US, who's made up his mind coming to Canada to practice, and the physician who's currently in the US, probably selling Walmart or driving Uber, or just lost, doesn't even know where to start from. These two positions. What is the next thing? What are the available options? What do we do next?
Okay. So I think that I'm going to go from a personal perspective, and the first thing that you need to do is try to get into the express entry pool by trying to get your PR, because usually to practice here, most times you need your PR. And the first thing you have to do is to open an account with the physiciansapply.ca. However, before you even get there, something that I did just to enlighten me was actually went on LinkedIn. First of all, you have to have a LinkedIn account, right? For this journey. And I just started looking out for success stories. Literally, I was digging for success stories. I eventually found somebody that posted that they just got their licensure of medical counsel in Canada. And I was like, oh my God, this guy, I need to link up with this person. So you can connect with a lot of mentors, people that can guide you through personally. And it's great that now we're now having things like this where you can actually talk to people that have gone through this process successfully. And then when I connected with him, I then, opened up a Physicians Apply account, and then you verify your medical diploma, your transcripts. I think people in the US that maybe have already started the USMLE process are possibly verified with ECFMG already. So you just have to link that with your MCC account. And then once you have your ECA from that, you're able to go into the pool, right? The express entry pool. However, I also need to write the IELTS exams. Usually for PR process, you need the general IELTS, right? So you write the general IELTS, have the your ECA from your verification, and then you can go into the express entry pool. So while you're in the express entry pool and waiting, you can start gathering your documents for your exams. So your resources, basically. So your QE1 information, because now you don't even need to be in Canada anymore to write these exams, right? You can be in the US, you can be in Nigeria, even in Ghana, and write these exams. So I think that I advise people to try and write this exam before coming down here. Just makes your life easier, to be very honest. And if you don't come here with a provincial nomination, you're able to go to provinces that actually have value for those exams and give you license roles that would actually enhance your opportunity to even apply for residency and make you more competitive. So that will be where I'll start. I'll start with trying to get my PR card, my PR, and then also writing my IELTS.
Okay, just to add to that, thank you, Dr. Chibuzo. You did a good job there. That's for people that are outside Canada. The QE1 exam is, if you have written many exams, you will know, I would say it's one of the toughest medical exams you want to write. So it's always good to start early while you are navigating the immigration system. In fact, I even heard some provinces now, if you have all that they need and you don't have a PR, they can give you work permit to come in and then find your way to get the PR. But if you are already in the pool to get your immigration, is a different story from how you get into residency, but it's part of it.
Right. We're focusing on getting into residency, but it's part of it. Yeah, go ahead.
It's part of it because you are either a PR or a citizen in order to get into either of the programs. So, but immigration is a completely different thing. For people that are, whether you are outside Canada or within Canada, focusing on that exam, the first exam, the QE1 exam is almost the ultimate key to either you are going into CARMS or the other pathway, PRA. I say that because your score matters. It's one exam that if you pass it, you have passed it. Even if you pass it by 0.1, like for example, the cutoff is an example 226, and you get 230. You already passed. You can never do that exam again. But there is no province that will take you with that score. So you will be stopped. So what I always tell people is, first thing first, shoot to get a very high score in your QE1. If you miss that, then you have to get the best of the best scores you can in your NACOSCI. That's the clinical exam, the national clinical exam, because either of the two has to be very high for you to be competitive. So while navigating the immigration, it's always a good idea to start studying on time. When I came to Canada, I started feeling like we didn't have a lot of, we learn on the job in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But here, you learn and be an expert even before you get into the job.
Right.
That's the difference between home and here.
Right.
And for them to look at you, to let you even touch people, to let you even get close to the system, you have to prove on paper that you are good enough. And the only way you can prove that is by your scores. For example, Ontario do not even review files before they grant interviews. They screen people based on their scores. Then they grant interviews. Why they do that? They start reviewing the files. And there's a particular score to files. There's a particular score to the interview. And at the end, the two will be married together for them to decide who comes in and who does not come in terms of who gets into the ranking. So this, because I'm a member of the file review board, and I also conduct interviews. That's why I'm saying this with confidence, because that's what happens.
This is
Other
very
province, yes.
Dr. Queen, I know you have a question, right? But before you ask your question, let me take Dr. Chibuzo and Dr. IJ back. So I've heard a lot of terms, PROA, Narkoski, this, I know what they mean, but let's just assume I don't. I mean, young graduate from University of Ghana, Kolebu, or from Ibadan, I'm just hearing all these things. I'll be like, what are these guys talking about? So what are the exams? What are the steps? 1, 2, 3. So I get my PR, probably I'm in Cameroon or Israel, and I have my PR. Now, what are those exams? Because you guys are just throwing the terms here, and let's see the sequence. What comes for any of you can answer those questions, and then the pathways.
I can go. So the major thing that you need, so after your PR, then so I'll just explain. So CARMS application is if you want to go through residency pathway. So you want to apply for residency. So CARMS is like the body that has the algorithm to match you into desired program. And your PRA is usually for IMGs that who already have like independent practice, experience abroad, and do not want to repeat maybe residency here. So usually you can, they'll just give you like an assessment, usually 3 to 6 months. And if you pass that, then you can practice as an independent GP here. But you'll be practicing in an underserved community. That's the clause there for a period of time. And so I chose the CARMS pathway because I had not done any residency back home. And so you need your PR first, and then you have to write your QE1. So MCC QE1, I did that like in April of 2023. It cost about 1,300 at that time. But I think it's about 14 something, like 1420 right now. And should I talk about the materials now or later, or just talk about it?
Okay, let me just
extent you feel like it's a open freestyle conversation.
Yes, we'll get to the materials soon, but just like Dr. Edi was saying that some of these acronyms might be sounding like Greek to some people that are just like fresh off the boat, that I believe
right, like somebody just asked one of your young graduates, I think, who's that? Someone asked my iPhone, I don't know your name, but she just said, hey, Dr. Chibuzo, what are someone who's just freshly minted out of school, doesn't even know all these stuff, Yeah,
okay,
go ahead.
So let's break the terms down. So QE1 is the MCC QE1, part 1. There used to be part 1 and part 2. There used to be MCC EE. I did that exam because I didn't have a mentor. I had a very high score in that exam. And I thought I have to do all the exams before I can start anything. Not knowing that I could actually use the EE to start something and then get licensed. But nobody told me. By the time I realized they stopped that exam that same year. And that exam was 1,800 at that time. So it became like useless. So I had to now prepare for QE1. The QE1, when we say QE1 is MCC EQ1 is Medical Council of Canada Qualifying Exam, part 1. They have part 2, but thanks to COVID, they removed it. And then kind of merged it together in such a way that the part of the exams that you do in QE2, they put it at CDM. Now, due to advocacy and so many things going behind the doors, I know this because I did the health system leadership program now. So that was also, and I'm also a paro GC member. So Paro fought, and they removed that part 2. Is a 5,000 plus exam. That is, the exam is over $5,000. But now they removed it. But you still have to do your NACOSCI. NACOSCI is a National Assessment Collaboration Objective Structured Clinical Examination. Oh my God, that's so long. But NACOSCI is
That's a
virtually like,
long name. I see why
yes,
you guys have debated
yes.
all the
So it's a
time.
clinic, yeah, it's a structured clinical exam whereby you are given like like a standard patient. Then you have a story behind it. Your job is to take a good history, figure out what's going on with the patient, what to do, like the investigation, the examination, you like everything, like you're seeing a patient, but this is like a standard patient. So that exam, you have 12 stations to that exam. Out of the 12, 10 is marked, like 10 is scored, 2 is not scored. So at the end of the day, they give a particular scoring point and decide who does well and who doesn't do well. So those are the exams, plus, like Dr. Chibuzo said, the English exam. But I want to say something here. You see that English exam? I've seen people that was the problem they have. For some reason, they were not just getting that 7. They will always get like 6.5, and they're very good. And the 7, you have to get 7 for every single section about written. So if you have like 8, 8, 8, and then written is 6.5, it's not a good score. So, but in Ontario, if you have schooled in Nigeria and you go to the farmers section, like, the section that says that your English, your study of your education or medical education was the instruction for your education is English language. There's a way they say it.
Language, you mean to say
Then,
language of instruction? Sorry.
yes, you print it out, you download the PDF and use it. Ontario will accept it. This is thanks to Paro and some other Nigerian advocacy group. Even Ontario schools are now accepting that. So just in case you have your IELTS and it's not so good, you can download that and not allow it to be a problem. There's also OET, the occupational examination for, I can't remember the acronym now, but it's an English test that is also acceptable in Canada for people trying to go into the field. So those are the meaning of these names. And then the physicianapply.ca is where you send in all your documents and they will verify it. And then when they verify it, you are good, because even if you do these exams and you apply and your documents are not verified, it might be a problem. And this verification takes time. So while you're navigating your exams and also doing all these things, it's good to put in your documents and pay for the verification. I don't know if I answered.
Absolutely, you did justice. Yes.
Yeah, I think she wanted to talk a little bit more about the kind of materials. She asked them Chibuzo to talk for a while.
Yeah.
Should we serious or?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like,
for the exam,
listeners want to know, okay, what do I study? Now that I want to study, okay, I've heard all the different pathways, PRA, NACOSCI, MCC. Okay, now I paid for the exams and I'll open my books. What book do I go to Google? Just type NACOSCI questions. How does it go? How does it work?
Yeah, so I think everybody's preparation is subjective to their, foundation, where they feel like they are in terms of preparation. For me, how I prepare for QE1 is I use Toronto Notes to read the pertinent specific specialties, not everything. Toronto Notes is very cumbersome. You don't want to sit down and be reading Toronto, you'll be sleeping off. So try and read pertinent, like family medicine should be read there, pediatrics, psych, ethics, those major ones. And then every other one can be used for referencing. That's how I read. And then I used UWorld Step 2 CK to do my first question bank. And I finished UWorld Step 2 CK. I think UWorld is kind of cumbersome. It doesn't really depict the exam exactly, but it gives you a strong foundation if you think that your foundation is not so solid. It gives you a lot of pathophysiology, which doesn't really come out in the exam, to be very honest, but it just helps you have an understanding. So when you see like a proper MCC kind of questions, your brain is just thinking on the spot. And so I did UWOD, and the next thing I did was HQ Bank. HQ Bank was more depicting what the Canadian exam would look like. I think that is very helpful, but I find that people that rely more on just HQ Bank kind of fumble the exam. So you have to have a strong foundation before going to HQ Bank. That is my own opinion. And then you will now use MCC preparatory material very close to the exam. I advise maybe like 3-4 weeks to the exam, just to solidify and see what it kind of depicts from the MCC itself. So it's kind of depicts what the exam is going to look like. Also, you need ethics. So CMPA websites is the site to go to read ethics. They have like lots of good practices there. They even have like some models there. So I did all that. It helps your ethics here. Try not to do ethics in your USMLE, in your UWorld step 2 CK, because UWorld ethics is US ethics, right? There's Canadian ethics, which is very different from the US ethics in some certain areas. So you want to read Canadian ethics. Also, you need to join study groups. Personally, I had my own small study group, right? But I had to join bigger study groups just to challenge myself. So there's something called IMGA, which is Alberta International Medical Graduate Association. And you can join regardless of what province you are in, but kind of give more priority to people in Alberta for certain things like in-person classes. But you can join from anywhere. And, I just paid an annual fee of like $50, and you have like lots of access to a lot of resources. They do classes for QE1, they did classes for NACOSKI as well. They helped my interview preparation. The resources are boundless, right? So very, very good to be a member of IMGA. They really, did a lot for me. Then if you're a Nigerian, it's the Nigerian Doctors Pathway, right, that you can join as a group. They do QE1 classes, they do NACOSKI classes and things like that. Yeah, that was for my QE1. And then for NACOSKI,
Okay.
yeah. You want me to stop there?
Yeah, just say something about Nakoski.
Yeah, for NACOSKI, NACOSKI is more practice, right? So NACOSKI is an OSCE-based exam where you're going to have like various stations, about 10 to 12 stations, each station lasting about 11 minutes. So the major thing I did was I used NACOSKI guide for that. I used Basil as well, Dr. Basil. And I used UWorld Step 3 to just get questions. So what I'm doing here, you're not just reading the books, you're getting questions prepared to practice with your team, and then they should assess you. So have a small study group where you're able to do that. You can also join, IMGA also has NACOSKI classes, Nigerian Doctors Pathway has NACOSKI classes. If you're in Calgary, there's Bow Valley College, Dr. Katie, they have in-person classes, Katie Bayer. So you can join them as well. And I think that they were very great.
It sounds like there's a ton of resources out there now that we're getting to demystify some of these things. Thank you so much, both of you, for what you're doing. Dr. Payne, I know you have a
Yeah,
question in your mind.
yeah, I appreciate both Dr. IJ and Dr. Chibuzo for all this is a lot of information. It might be a lot to process, but anyone that is starting now should take this as gold. Like this is liquid metal, like we say in Nigeria. Well, I just wanted to say something. Dr. IJ said something about this course, and I think she's a useful resource for us to like get more information about how this course work, especially for residency training, because some people just want to just get the exam off their neck. And I like the fact that she brought that. So I just give us an idea, or what advice would you give in terms of scores people that are coming in should have to help them have a very good application package, especially for Ontario, because Ontario has a lot of schools and lots of opportunities to apply to. So what scores do you think would be good, both for the NACOSK and the QE one? And then how long do you think someone should
Dr.
prepare?
IG, processing the thoughts in our head.
And on average, how much do you think people should prepare for these exams? Because this is a lot of resources. People have, a lot of life is happening as we're preparing for these exams. So what advice would you give from your experiences?
Okay. That's a lot. Thank you. Dr. Chibuzo said it all in terms of resources, but I will just chip
Yeah.
in a few things there. I hope I don't forget. First of all, these exams are not cheap, they're very expensive. When I came here, I had a lot of money, so money was not my problem. Now I'm so poor, and I feel like Canada made me poor. But having said that, I would say if you do not have the money and you have a means of getting the money, just start reading and start saving so that you will have enough money for that exam. And also, if you are new in Canada, there's something they call building credit, because the exams are registered with credit cards. Nakoski is, I think, over $3,000 now. So if your credit card is limit is not up to $3,000, that's a problem. So there's a lot of things to cause heartache just by preparing for the exam. So I have credit limit of $2,000. How am I supposed to register for the exam? And even when you are done with residency, certification is from $5,000 up. So you have to have a good credit that has up to that limit. So my point is you have to prepare from beginning, not just reading for the exam, but also have it in your mind about the cost of the exams and just save for them when you're sure you have the money, so you don't struggle between preparing and going to work 12 hours to get the money. I have some mentees that they have to work so hard. In fact, for me to get them to mentor them was a problem because they're always at work. And I don't want to give up, so I kept pushing. So you need to get that money sorted out somehow, and then you focus on the exam. The resources are enormous. AMGA is a good resource. When I did I didn't know about ANGA. The Nigerian pathway had not started. So I'm such an old school, but I read everything. I read Toronto Note word by word, line by line, and tried to put them in my head. I read UWord, I read Master the Board, all of that. Then practice question. I would say the key to this passing this exam, irrespective of the fact that you've read very well, like you have to read, you have to prepare foundationally. But to pass this exam, you need to practice the questions. And you will practice in pretense that you are doing the exam, really. So if you want to do the exam, I would say intensive preparation for 6 months. For me, I believe in over-preparing and having the exam being like, oh, is this what it's about? Why did I have to kill myself? Than going there and you're like lost. So that's my school of thought. So I would say 6 months intensive preparation. And the first 2 months, you should be able to do 100 questions within 4 hours. By the 3rd month, you should be able to do 200 questions within maybe 4 to 5 hours. By your 4th month, you should be doing 200 questions in less than 4 hours until the exam.
Wow.
So this is what I did.
So there's a technique to this.
Yes. When I was a month to my exam, I was doing, and somebody told me this, a doctor that I met somewhere, we're just talking, and he told me, yeah, I don't think, just forget about it. But if you want to do this, this is what you would do. So I took that. I sieved off the negative aspect, and I took the part that if I'm going to raise my kids here, I have to work. So at the end of the day, I was doing 200 questions in 4 hours. And towards the end of the exam, I was doing it in 3.5 hours. And believe you me, it worked. My exam day, I was very sick with migraine, but I finished that exam 20 minutes before the end of the exam. And I didn't feel stressed out because I had prepared myself to the point, to that pressure. Otherwise, so many people go in, they don't finish. And if you don't finish, there's a very high chance that the score will be low, even if you pass. So that's what I have to say about that. And then again, if you are doing the exam, please, if you work from question 1 to 10, try not to go back to 7 to go and check if you did good or not. The reason is that the questions, they change. I experimented this because I did the exam in Ireland that happened, and I failed the exam, and I didn't understand why I failed the exam. Why would I fail an exam I feel I did very well? But at the end of the day, when it was reviewed, it was found that whenever I go back, whatever that I have done, let's say I went back from 25, then I went back to 10 to check something. From 10 to 25 has been erased.
Change.
The questions are changed. So it's as good
Wow.
as I didn't answer those questions.
Wow.
That happens in any multiple,
Choice
what do they call it?
questions. Yeah,
Choice,
MCQs.
whatever, in this Obodo Yibo, in
Yeah.
this abroad setting. So the number 5 for everybody is different. And they do this because they want to deal with, the issue of malpractice or whatever. They've gone beyond that. So the questions are, the computer is bringing the question as you move. So when you go back, everything changes and so all your answers will be wrong.
Right.
So when you are doing this exam, when you make up your mind, believe that your first decision is the best. Don't ever bother going back because it will change and your answers will be wrong all through. So let's assume you're in number 60, you see a similar question. Oh, I saw this somewhere around 10. You now push back to from 10 to 60 is a different question now, and your answers are different.
Thank you so much. I know that there's a lot of people asking questions. We're going to take questions in the last 10 minutes of this program. Once again, this is Global Research Initiative, where topic today is the Canadian pathway. How can we understand it and how can we maximize it? We've had two great guests, Dr. Chibuzo Okoronkwo and Dr. IJ Izundu, who have volunteered to give in their experience and their time in mentoring people and guiding people through these pathways. They've extensively talked about the different type of tests that you do, how you get into the process, what is a good score, how much it costs, how to prepare, to the margin of the time that we have. We're going to the second part of this thing, this question that probably a lot of people who are guests today are eager to hear, which is, okay, now I've written the exams. Okay, now I have gone through the PR, this is where I am. So let's say where Dr. Quinn is now. What are now the other additionals that will make me get into the program? Because I believe it's not just about score. I know score plays a huge role, which you have emphasized, and different types of exams that you mentioned. So what are the other addendos? What are the other additionals? Letter recommendation, Canadian clinical experience. Is there anything like networking? Is there anything like going to talk to a program? Do you send letters to programs? Different. What other thing? Let's assume I'm just a novice. Take it from the bottom, Dr. Chibuzo, then Dr. IJ will pitch in.
Okay, yeah. I just want to circle back just a little.
Right.
All the cost and everything. So initially, I noticed that most people that try to chase the bag and chase the career goal always meet a roadblock most times, right? So because personally for me, my mentor advised me to quit my job. I got a job as a support worker when I first started here, and I quit my job and I concentrated on reading for about 6 months, right? And so there are opportunities like financial institutions that will actually give you loan if you're a doctor for your exams. So I took a loan from Windmill. They're going to give you up to like 15K. So you can just use that. I used that, paid my rent in advance, stock up my house, and sat down and read at least 14 hours a day. You have to sacrifice that, read for that long, and just give it your best shot in the first time.
Wow.
So I would
wait. I have to pause you there, because you mean if I want to get into Canada, I have to be ready to read 14 hours. Is it that difficult? Is it that scary?
Dr. Chibuzo is 100% right.
You just have to give in.
And for mothers, I mean, I'm talking from my own personal lens, because even in residency, people say, how do you do this? Like, I'm alone in Canada. My spouse is not here. I have nobody, no family, nothing. And I have 3 kids, and all of them are like this. So I had to retrain my kids to go to bed by 8 o'clock, 8 p.m., you are in bed. You must be in bed. And that is when my own life starts. So I will read from 8 till 4 a.m. I won't get like my water, everything is there, no getting up, no strolling around, and no TV from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and 4 a.m. So p.m. to 4 a.m. Then I will sleep, and their cry will wake me up at 7. So with my sleepy eye, I will get them fixed and everything. And like sleepy eye. Then those that will go to daycare, I will sleepy eye, take them to daycare. I'm still sleeping, but I'm doing it. And then I come back, put the other one, take care of her, put her to sleep because she will sleep in the morning. Then I will sleep with her, like while she sleeps. So by 11, I'm done. Then I start reading. They come back by 4. Then we do it again. So 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. gives me a long time. That's like 8 hours or so. Then another 4 hours. I will say I was reading between 12 to 14 hours. Back to back.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even know you're doing it, to be honest.
And it's not even enough because you need to cover so much. So that's why I said you need to first of all save the money, put it aside, then give yourself 6 months.
So what is a good score? What is now a good score?
Chibuzo will answer.
But personally, I'm very indifferent about scores, to be honest, because I know people with very low scores that have also matched. I know that schools like in Ontario looks at score a lot, and that's where Dr. IJ is. So that's why she's hammering on score a lot, right? They look at score before they even look. They will never look at your personal letter or anything. It's your score. They used to eliminate you first, right? But all that provinces like Manitoba, Saskatchewan, places like that, some people have matched, even better. Some people have matched with very normal average scores, 230, 220. I know some of them matched with a QE1 score of 229, right? Her NACO skill was not the best, but she matched. So it is about how you can compose your whole entire, from your personal letter to your CV and how you just present yourself during the interview that would give you a whole picture of matching. So, but score is also very important, so don't get me wrong.
No, it's not all about score. Like I said before, everything have their own score. Your total application has a score.
Yeah.
Your exams have their score.
So can we just list the paraphernalia? Can we score?
Okay.
Year of graduation, does that matter? And and other things that I don't know. Like I said, I'm assuming I'm a neophyte, I'm a novice in this whole thing.
To be honest, I don't think there's any. These are all moving parts. I don't think there's any
checklists.
No, there's a checklist, but I don't think there's any hard and fast rule to this. I will tell you, when they say year of graduation, for me, a lot of people were telling me, oh, no, it's impossible. It's just because of the year of graduation and my age. Okay, but I matched in my first application. So that means year of graduation does not matter. Your age does not matter. There are other things that matter most than those things.
Can we put a number to, can we list them out?
But Canada prefers younger graduates, we know, because those who work longer for them before retirement. However, if they see an older graduate that have everything that they need and even beyond, they will snatch the person without thinking. I think that was what happened to me. I matched in U of T. As a matter of fact, I wasn't really keen in going back to practice. But I was keen in breaking the odds, to be honest. And I was keen in knowing what is it that they want from IMGs. And so it's like I did most of the things I did out of curiosity, and it just happened to work out like that. So when I mean score, if you're older, please have a good score so that it will not be a negative point for you. But if you are younger and you have like 250, 240, that's fine. As long as Tarkowski is good enough. You can't have 2 poor scores and expect to match, but you can get into practice ready with those kind of scores. But if you are thinking of coming back to residency, they have an eye for younger people. They have an eye for good scores. But if you're an older person, your scores and other things in your profile should be strong. Because I would prefer to train someone that is already knowledgeable than someone I think is not that knowledgeable. So that's what I would say about that in terms of score. One of the exams should be up there to show them that at least you are knowledgeable.
At least you're knowledgeable, right?
So year of graduation, I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Age, I don't think it matters. Your score should matter, to be honest. But if you're on the average score, the other one should be high enough for them to, at least one standard deviation, I would say is a good score. I had a little bit above 2 standard deviation, but 1 standard deviation is good enough from my experience in terms of assisting in getting people into residency. Okay, then in terms of what else matters in terms of your application, I would say in that CARMS application, I always tell people, never leave anything vacant. That means your CV should look like the CARMS CV. So if you download the CARMS CV, there are things they're asking for. You should have every of that, at least one of that in your CV, because they all have check, 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 check. That's where you have the checklist. But if you didn't do residency abroad before, of course, that will be vacant and nobody will query you like it's not a problem. Not everybody should have done residency, and a lot of people are just coming out from school and they want to come to Canada, so it's not supposed to be a problem. Your housemanship is a postgraduate internship. It's not, because in Canada you have people from all over the world. Some people, they have 3 months internship, 6 months. We have 1 whole year internship, and that matters. That is strong. So you have to put it as postgraduate internship. In terms of things that they want to see, there are basic things that should be on that you should have done. You know, Canada is a very diverse community and everybody is accepted. And they want to have a physician that is interested in diversity, equity, and all of that. So there are some courses I always encourage people that know me to do. Chibuzo, I think you can attest to that. You need to do some of these courses, and when they see, they're like, oh, okay, this is an IMG and she did this. Interesting. So they look at it. I have had to rank people high just by what I saw on their CV, what they have done. For example, something about Aboriginal population is very important. Something about equity is very important. Something about underserved community is very important. Something about
Like
LGBTQ.
a broad experience.
Yes, LGBTQ. So you need to do those, you need to find those courses and do them. Some of them are on Coursera, some of them you have to just find them and pay for them. Some of them, like I stored the link somehow, somewhere at that time. You just find these courses and do them and put them on your CV. And they're not very expensive to do, but they need to see it. Something about what do they call it? Cyber
Indigenous
security.
Canada.
And that's what I mean. Like it could be indigenous. There are different. There are about 2 or 3 courses in indigenous Canada. Just do one. There's something about cyber security, like EMS, EMR, privacy and confidentiality, private security and stuff. They want to know that you do it. You need to know a little bit about EMR. Like if I'm seeing that you don't, there is nothing about EMR, and I see somebody else that knows different EMRs, you know, like the PS suit, you know, like the Epic, you know, like the maybe Meditech, you know, like whatever, like I'm like, okay, this person, I don't have to kill myself to train them on this. So those are the things. Apart from your score, you need to now build your package. You need to get some of these things in your package in order to stand out. I'm forgetting many things now, but maybe I'll remember. Yeah, we'll remember as we go. Language is another thing. So you are speaking Yoruba, you are speaking English, you are speaking French, you are even speaking your mother's tongue. Put them in. Somebody that has language, spoken language, English. But me, I'm an Igbo girl, right? I speak Igbo. I speak English. I speak whatever. Then I have like 4 languages. Even my mother tongue is 5 languages. So I put 5 languages. Nobody's coming to tell you, oh, well, tell me this and this. Your paper is not speaking, but it's speaking. You know what I mean? Like your paper is
Right.
not announcing to say, oh, she's speaking her mother's language as one of these languages. But your paper is saying 4 languages and somebody else is 2. These things, they matter. There are so many things. You mentioned something about Dr. Edu, you mentioned something about
A
reference and
recommendation, references.
Yeah.
Do I have to contact the program?
mm-hmm.
I have to send them an email?
Yeah.
What are the other moving parts?
Personally, I can add, so one thing that made my application stronger is because I applied last year, I didn't match. I matched this year. I got hands-on clinical experience in Canada, right? Which is very, very important. Some people match without it, but I got an associate physician role in Alberta. And that's what I was saying. When you have passed your QE1, you can apply for that. You're basically working as a doctor, but under supervision, and the pay is pretty good. And they recognize it. So there are different provinces where you can do that. In Ontario, unfortunately, they do clinical assistant roles, but they are not regulated by the government. It's like the doctors just employing you and then just paying you. So it's not as recognized in Canada like some other provinces where like Alberta, where you have licensed roles. In British Columbia, you also have licensed associate physician roles, but you require like 2 years postgraduate training for that. So if you have that, you can apply there. In Manitoba, you have licensed clinical assistant roles that gives you hands-on clinical experience. And I think Nova Scotia as well. So if you're able to get any of this, for example, in Alberta, with the work permit, you can even get it, right? You don't necessarily need a PR to get a licensed physician. Just pass your Q1, have your academic IELTS done, have at least recency of practice within the last 3 years, at least 6 months in the last 3 years. And yeah, you should have verified your internship and all those things on Physicians Apply, internship, medical diploma, and transcript of Physicians Apply, and then you can apply. So I think that really changed the dynamic for me because I was able to even get references from some of the doctors I worked with there. Because during the first 6 months when working there, they're going to do like an assessment orientation for you. So every week they are giving you scores, right? They will give you feedback. And so I was looking out for a person that will give me great feedback. People that just give me 5, 5, 5. I just be like, please, do you know that I'm going to apply to CARMS? So eventually I got a lot of no's, but at least I got like 3 years. And so I got
How
references.
many reference letters do you need?
So you need 3 reference letters per specialty that you're applying to. So if you're applying to family medicine, you need 3 references from there. If you're applying to OBGYN, you need 3 references from them. And each school here, unlike the US, each school is very specific, right, about what they want. Some schools will say they don't accept references from senior residents. They only accept references from attendants. So you need to be very sure. Some will say they accept references from senior residents as well. So you cannot go and drop reference from a senior resident when they don't want a senior resident, right? Some schools like University of Calgary says the person that's giving you a reference should have worked with you within the last 2 years. So if you've been in Canada for 3 years and you have no practice here, that means you cannot you cannot even apply there because they don't even look at your application if you have not worked with the person within the last 2 years. So they're very stringent sometimes like that, but if you're able to get this hands-on clinical practice, you're able to get references. Observerships as well. They don't really look at it as much in your CV, but it's great to get experience here. It's great to get references as well in Canada as well. And the other meaning,
That is
I believe,
right. I know we can. I know we can exhaust all the nitty-gritties in 1 hour, but wow, listening to you guys has just been mind-opening. Like it's refreshing to know that there's so many moving parts. I'll ask the last question, then I'll open the mic for everyone to ask. We're probably going to
Okay, can I say something about reference?
Sure.
Observership is good. Okay, let me retract. So what Dr. Chibuzo was saying is one of the targets that helps to match. Of course, like I was saying, in terms of if you have been a clinical assistant in the system, I expect that you'll be an easy to go resident. So your chances are quite high. But if you haven't got, so I would say anybody that has QE1 NAC should try and apply somewhere for clinical assistant job. It helps a lot. But if you can't, it's still okay. You boost your application with some of those courses that I have mentioned. And then if you get an observership in the field that you are looking for, then you are now going to put it on your CV as observership / clinical assistant. Means we know it's not regulated, but you assisted in doing things in that clinic while doing your observership. And if the person gives you a reference, it will count. And of course, you need 3 references. They mustn't be all Canadian references. The most important thing in reference is to get it from someone that can attest to your clinical skills. You can get it from Nigeria, as long as they can talk about what you can do and assure that they have worked with you and you are this and that. Because if you get reference from Canada and he's saying, oh, I don't know about her clinical skills, I haven't worked with her, because they will write that, then it's useless. I got Canadian references, about 2, 3 actually, but I eventually use references from people that know me and have worked with me in Nigeria. I used only 1 Canadian reference because the guy worked with me and he wrote something that was really pleasant. Like, he was real, but it was pleasant. The other 2, I trashed them. So that's what I wanted to add in terms of.
So much. Thank you so much. I don't know how to say this. This is so mind-opening, and the feedbacks we're getting behind the scene is so very encouraging. A lot of people don't even know these things. And here we have it in the platter of gold. We're not taking your presence for granted. Thank you so much. This is Global Research Initiative, where we talk about everything, how to get into medical training in the foreign worlds. We have Dr. IJ Izundu and Dr. Chibuzo Okoronkwo, who has volunteered their time to enrich us in their experience. And my co-moderator is Dr. Quinn, who also is in the process of applying. I want to talk about Dr. Quinn a little bit, but maybe at the end. Moving forward, so let's say, okay, we've heard about all these whole processes, the moving parts. At this time, this is June 15th, an applicant, like the question there. And this might be one of my last questions. And then we hope that we can have the time to have you people back again to, go more detail on how a personal statement should be, this and this. But let's just do a little overview closing, because I don't expect to hold you beyond 1 hour. We're already 9 minutes above our time. So June 15th, an applicant is ready. National ski, all this MQ1, this, everything is ready. What are the timeline for the application, and what should I be doing now to make sure that I maximize my chances of getting in? Is it in September? Is it in December? Is it in January? Let's start from the timeline, and then what should I be doing now? Or if you look back on your own paths, what would you advise to say, okay, now June 15th, please, these are the things that you should put in check so that by December, we're all now going to come together and then we'll rejoice and say, we did our best. I know it's a lot of so much. We'll take in part 1, Dr. Chibuzo, part 2, Dr. IJ, and then we open the mic for everyone. And I also want to thank so many people on the chat box, Dr. Ugo Ikechukwu, Dr. Trish, Dr. Hyoso, all different people that are asking questions and then doing justice to those questions. Thank you so much. It's a lot to unpack, but we're just trying to break it into little pieces. So June 15th, an applicant is ready, good score, great guy, has all the moving parts together. What should I be doing now?
So first of all, CARMS registration opens. If you're a first-time applicant, CARMS registration opens this year, July 9th. So you should be getting ready to, first of all, just the overall registration, sharing your documents with the Physicians Apply portal. And then by September 10th, official portals open to submit your application. So I need you to be aware that You have passed the QA1, you've passed the NACOSKI, congratulations, but you still have some mini exams that are waiting for you in front. There's the FM Pro C. If you're going to apply to any family medicine specialty, you have to write that. It's about $58, so get ready for that. Usually you write it around November, October, November. There's CASPER, if you're going to be applying to other specialties as well, or some specific schools like Saskatchewan requires CASPER. So you should get ready to write it. These are just mini situational judgment tests, right? You don't need to be scared about it. CASPER, to be honest, is one of the most annoying exams, but you just need to write it. And then there's, if you're going to be in Abada and you want to apply to Abada schools, you should have, applied, you should have registered for the AIMGP by now to be eligible to apply to Abada. And then there's the MMI they usually do in Abada, usually around November as well. So I'm just giving you some overview. And then if you want to apply to BC, they have the BC cap. Registration should start somewhere around June, July as well. And then, they do the BC cap around November as well. So just this, mini exams, you should have them in front of you, knowing that they are coming. And so I would advise that you start beefing up your CV right now, because if you want to now do everything at the same time around that time, it's going to be very overwhelming, because usually you would have to start doing your personal statements when the portal opens. You have to study your resume. You have to start getting your references. Submitting everything at that time will be overwhelming. Also, you need to start reaching out to your school. Wherever you school, you're going to need a medical
record.
ISP, yeah. So, right, medical record of evaluation of good standing, basically, from your school. So, people like me that I schooled in Ukraine, that was a very tough thing to do. So you need to start early, because there's a lot of crisis going on there. If you're in school in Nigeria can take forever to respond. Some African countries as well. So you need to start reaching out now. You don't want to start doing that closer to the deadline. And so, yeah, so those are the major things you need to look out for. So there are two iterations, right? There's the first iteration, there's a second iteration. The first iteration usually starts around that September. You start submitting your applications, and then by November you should be done submitting your applications. And then I think by January to like January 17th to February 8th, you have the interviews, and then by March 3rd, that's when you match, right? And the second iteration starts from June 6th and then goes all the way to April. So start working on your personal statements, small. As much as in Canada, your personal statements are tailored to what the school is asking, unlike the US where it's broad and generic, right? Each school asks several specific questions, right? So you need to start just having a general overview of yourself, introspect, use the CAN-MED rule. So you need to know what the CAN-MED rule is. What are they again? Scholarly activities, continuous learning. You want to project yourself as a teacher, as a leader. You want to project yourself as a health advocate, as a good communicator, as a great collaborator, all these things. So you need to start coming up with stories in your mind that is showcasing all these things, right? Because you're going to need to interject them in your personal statements, regardless of what question they ask. You're going to have to find a way around it to put yourself in showcasing these things. And so I think that's what you should start doing right now, introspecting, then doing all those courses that Dr. IJ has recommended, gathering some documents here and there, and I think you'll be great.
Wow.
Thank
Dr.
you.
IJ. Yeah, Queen, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you again, Dr. Chibuzo. You said it all. Those are the things that should be done. The application is quite large. Like, pretend it's like 500 pages that you want to write. So that will tell you to start early, so you'll be able to meet up the deadline. And other things I think that are very important to stand out is research. And so I've always bothered Dr. D, please, can you take this for saying, please, this? And I do that when I know that every other thing is ready. Like, Dr. D, before I bug you, I know that this person is ready. And if you notice, anybody that I bug you for always matches.
Yeah.
So you have to do all these things. And then the cherry on the ice cream is research.
Right.
Canada loves research. You remember I mentioned when I just had my babies like that, pam, 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 pam. So I had this company that was looking for someone to write their research papers. And I'm like, okay, let me just do it. They didn't pay me It was volunteering and I did it. I didn't count. I just didn't want to be bored and sad. So I was doing it to just keep myself moving. Little did I know that it's going to be useful.
Useful.
I
Right.
did over 50 papers for them. And I didn't even want to put it on my CARMS until Dr. Evo saw it. We were talking and I mentioned something. I wanted to publish a paper and then they were telling me the price. I'm like, are you crazy? I did it free for you. So I was upset and I just chatted Dr. Evo. And Dr. Evo said, can I see? So I sent her the site and she screamed and was like, you need to put this on your application. I said, I'm not putting it. There are too many. Anyway, I didn't eventually put it, like just put in the site. So if you care, go to the site and look. What am I saying? Research is very, very important. When I got into residency, I realized how important and how strong Canadian schools see research. In your year one, you need to do a paper compulsorily, your QI paper. In your year two, you need to do another paper compulsorily within your residency. It's one of the criteria to graduate. That's how important it is for them. And so if during the file review, you will see their CMGs. I mean, well, the people we call CMGs is Canadian medical graduates, people that are trained here. You will see their trailer load of research. There's no one that comes there without at least 5 researches. So you, that is an IMG, you now come with 1 or 2. Nobody will like.
What I usually tell people is don't come to a fight that has that they use bazooka and gun. Don't come there with a machete.
Or with catapult.
Or
With
with a stick.
Yeah. So you need to, yes, like as an IMG, you need to come with research. And what you're trying to tell them is that, yes, I'm ready. I have an idea of how to do systemic review. I have an idea of how to do a primary project. I have an idea of how to do a QI project. So you don't have to stress over that. I am good with this part. So those are the things. Research is extremely important. You need to have attended conferences. I always tell people, you don't need to spend too much money or run around or like crack your head over which conference to attend. Just look out for PrimeMed Canada. In one day, they'll do 8 topics. That 8 topics, if you attend like 2, is already 16. And anybody that sees it will be like, okay, she's comfortable with conferences. She's a lifelong learner. You know, those are the little tricks. Then there's something about oral presentation. Because in your residency, you have multiple oral presentations. They call it EBM talks. You need to show that you can actually talk among your peers and in front of your superiors, right? Like supervisors. You need to show that you can educate, like you can teach, you can use cases to highlight stuff. So when they see oral presentation, this is like 3 or 4, 5, oh, she's done it before. It's okay if you tell her to do it, she knows how to go about it. That's just what your CV is telling them, what you are, what you can do. You know, like some rotations that you do, they want you to do an oral presentation before they want you to conduct a round. And everybody from professor to the last person is sitting there looking at you, and you have to talk about the topic and you just have to lecture them on it, you know. So these are important, you know.
I don't mean to cut you short, but just I know Dr. Quinn, you want to ask a question, but just to follow up, because I've also been in residency training, this oral presentation and ability to communicate within your peers, to your superiors or to your juniors, is a very important aspect of medical practice in the Western world. You just have to build that confidence to look somebody in the eyeball, look a crowd, or look at your colleague and speak confidently, fluently, and knowledgeably. A lot of people have lost their residency because of inability to, they are very intelligent, they're educated, they know the stuff, they know the medicine, but they're just not able to communicate fluently, effectively, and, you know, I use the word world standard communication, very refined communication, and it's really cost a lot of people. We're currently tackling a lot of cases, how we can, get them back on their feet in their residency program. This is just a deviation. I cannot overemphasize the importance of clear, effective communication anyway. So if going to oral presentations is what is going to take you to know how to talk to your peers, to know how to talk to, let me use the people who don't look like us. Let me just use the word white-skinned person. There's this, when a patient walks into your room, 68-year-old man, director of iPhone services in New York walks into your room, in Canada walks into your room. Hey, Dr. Edwards, you should be able to, confidently say, okay, Mr. John, this is what I think is going on. This is what I think we're going to do. This is our plan. We're working this together. I want the best for you. Is that okay? What do you think? Very, very firm conversation. Anyway, that's just a side.
Yes, Dr. D, it's not a deviation. This is it's a big deal in this Western world.
It's a big deal.
This communication is everything in this Western world. And now it was not part of our training. Where we came from, it's not like we're not trained to, apart from your when you're on call, I've forgotten what they call it now. Like when you're call Monday morning, you just come and say what happened during the call.
Right.
Apart from that, it's not part of our training. It wasn't part of what we are mandated to do during residency in back home. But here, communication is everything. That's why you have to work on your communication skills before even if you match today, spend your time, put on your Zoom, like the Zoom becomes your reflection. Try to practice how to discuss cases and pretend that everybody there is your mate. Here, age does not matter. You're a Professor Ben, call him Ben. You're a Professor who, they're all your mates. So that's where the anxiety of whatever, you don't bother about what they already know. Tell them what you want them to hear.
It's
and just flow with it, and always use cases. This feedback was just given to somebody last week. When I did mine, after the upload and then question, they asked question and answered, and the site director said, "IG, that was a very good presentation. I like it. Can you send it to me?" And in my mind, I knew, oh, I did well. Somebody did last week, and then when she was done, after everything, we clapped and answered questions. And then as she was coming down the podium, I overheard the director saying, "It would be nice if you use cases to highlight your thoughts." So I'm like in my mind, okay, maybe that was why they liked mine. And the only reason I use cases is because I see senior colleagues doing it. But I didn't know it's part of the criteria. So you learn how to do oral presentation. Remember to use cases to bring it home so that it won't just be theory. Okay.
That's the point.
Once again, thank you, both of you, for your extensive response. Any questions? So I just have two questions because I know that we are rounding up and we're way beyond our time. So you might want to use this maybe to summarize. So one for you, Dr. IJ. I'll just ask both of them at the same time, so take note, and then we'll open the floor to a few questions, and then I think Dr. Ed will take over from here. So I just wanted to ask, for still in the now, between now and when the application opens next, the moving pieces, where does mentorship and networking come in for someone who is applying for the first time, and then maybe someone who has done this before, like what extra thing can they do in terms of that? And then for Dr. Chibuzo, I was just wondering, again, Dr. IJ may also have something to say about this as well. So like, feel free to chime in when either of you are saying something. But you said this, you match the second time you apply. So I'm just wondering, something you did differently rather, because some of us are here who had applied before, some people more than one cycle, some people more than 2-3 cycles, and they're here. What you did differently that helped you to stand out? And I know that in the US, still, this is like the B part of your question. I'm sorry if it seems like a long question. Do get to ask feedback from residency program. In your experience, do you think it's something that works in Canada, or is this something they shut the door, and can applicants know where they didn't do well and how they can improve their, their application to, because I know they
That's a
talk
great
about
question.
feedback a lot, but I don't know how much open they are to giving feedback to applicants, especially when you're an internationally trained one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
So
you so much for
maybe
that
ladies.
question. Yeah, I know that a lot of things have been said, and it's so thank God this is recorded. You can always go back and listen to the records. It's a lot to take in one sitting. So moving parts that we talked about after your exam, you've passed. You have your verification of documents done, you get all the things from your school, and physician apply is done. You have some observership or clinical assistant job. At least you have people that you hope they will give you a good reference. This is the time to approach them. Don't approach them too late. Start now. Get those references settled so that when it's time, all they have to do is to upload it and tell them what you want, what is needed in that reference, so they don't just go and write whatever. Just look at the CAMS rules and highlight those points. Whatever they're saying, they should think of this point, because that's what the people are looking for. And then we talked about conferences, oral presentation. If you have not had any oral presentation, please organize one among your peers. Maybe you can approach Dr. D
I
to
think it's
help
a
you.
very good idea that we're going to do an oral
Yes,
presentation. We're
organize
going
one
to put it
among
up.
any
Uh,
random topic.
we're
You
going to do
need
it
to have that.
in
Have
July,
it in,
August.
yeah, have it in
We're
your
going to do it.
CV. Have
We're
it
going
in
to do
your
it in
CV.
July, August.
Yes, do it under a podium. It could be
All right.
whichever podium that you
All right.
want to
All right.
do it.
We're
It's
going to
very
do it.
important.
We're going to do it.
And if you haven't done observership, well, it's time to do that. In terms of networking, go to PrimeMed Canada. You see people, you meet people. Don't be shy. Hey, I'm IMG. This is my first conference, and I'm happy to. The person sitting by your side, they're very open. I'm happy to be here. I'm applying for camps. Is there any advice you want? Like during that time, they're going to eat bread and stuff. Just chat up with someone. You'll be surprised you even see somebody you know. Like that. And I won't say networking. Don't stress too much about networking. Focus on getting your application done. If you match, now network will pursue you. You will meet people will meet you. And if you are good enough, your preceptors will be very comfortable with you. Me, I don't fear anybody. I knock at any door. One guy, they say, oh, that guy, oh my God, is the this and that. Everybody runs away from me. I went to hug him. Every day I'll go to his office. You got a minute? I have a question for you. I stressed that guy, to the point that he became my friend by force. If I haven't even seen him, he'll come, hi, IJ, how you doing? And everybody was like, how did you get to become this guy's friend? So even when they put up hard face, you can break through. Are you not a Nigerian? We know how to go about our stuff. So moving part, those are the things. And then you will network. Network shouldn't be a problem right now. So you don't waste time trying to meet people and all of that. There's something I think we missed. I know we are out of time. I would also say people should try practice ready. Yes, practice ready. We have provinces like Saskatoon, Alberta, British Columbia, Nova Scotia. Even Manitoba has their own, but their own is a little bit different. They do MLP IMG or something like that. IMG MLP, where they train the person for 1 year and then you can navigate your way to full license. So I would say you can actually apply for the two while you are doing, because it's almost the same package you are going to use. So that if this one does not happen, this one will happen. You understand what I mean? That don't put your eggs in one basket. I think that's one thing that the requirements are different, are not so different. I have friends that when they didn't match, we did practice ready and they got in, and now they are very happy, like, because they paid them like almost like physicians until they're done. So those are the things that I will say we need. Strong application is the key.
Thank you so much, everyone. Dr. Chukwu, I don't know if you're going to take that question briefly. What would I do that would change? Before you take that question, just as a disclaimer, these two special guests are not representing their program. Whatever they're saying is their personal opinion. These opinions are not to be taken as legal guide. We're just sharing our perspective. And as the years change, these opinions may change because someone viewing it in the next 2050 or 2030 may hear something differently. This is 2025 for those who are still living at this our age. And then lastly, we don't give out the contact of our special guests except they explicitly request us to do, because I notice that people are asking for your contacts and one of the reasons is to maintain the integrity of their privacy and their time. But feel free to request. We have a general group where you can request for someone to reach out to you. You could mention his name. Hey, Dr. IJ, please reach out to me. And if she on her own time wants to reach out to you, I know both of them are strong mentors. They have this altruistic personality to help people, but we're not just going to fill their inbox with 1 million requests. So we're not going to share their contact or their email address or their phone number in a public forum in Zoom that's going to be in YouTube in the next probably couple of hours after we're done editing it. But we can do that privately. I don't know if that's okay. So Dr. Chibuzo, one or two things.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
If I am going to, so this year I thought I should take a break from IMGs because I was so choked that I burnt out. Burnout is a horrible thing. So if I'm going to support any of us, I'm very happy to, I'm open to that, but I would like to do that from end of October because I have chance of exams. Like I told you guys, like I married my residency with other programs. So I have like chance of exams coming up from August till end of October. So and I would like to pass those exams. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to help, but that will be like by the end of October.
Thank you so much. For someone that's asking, Dr. Chibuzo, please give me a second. For someone that's asking about what is the name of the channel, I'm going to post it now. We have an official channel. It's IMG Research, and I'll post it here soon while Dr. Chibuzo does that. We are also trying to reduce the way people post their personal channels in our general page so that people can be more direct and focused on one channel of information. Dr. Chibuzo, over to you. And then after Dr. Chibuzo, we're going to open the mic. Feel free to ask question, whatever question that you want to ask.
Yeah, so regarding the question, what I did differently to stand out, I think that the first thing I did was to get an associate physician role. That, just, gave some fragrance to my resume, just put me in a position where it seemed as though I had Canadian, hands-on Canadian experience, and it just exposed me to the Canadian healthcare guidelines. And I think personally, just even being in it would give you a perspective on how you want to even word your personal letter and your statements and your resume. So I think that was the first thing I did. Secondly, I got into research with IMG Research Academy, and I was referred to Dr. Eddie by Dr. IJ actually. So it was like a forum like this that I listened to Dr. IJ speaking after I did a match last year, and I was like, man, I need to get into research academia. So that's what I did. And, it's been fantastic so far. I've gotten to learn more about research. I've gotten to, have a few papers under my name. And I think that adding those things to my resume just, made it blossom. Thirdly, I got mentorship from Black Physicians Canada. Black Physicians Canada is a very good platform for doctors that are trying to either get into residency or even doctors that have already matched and want mentorship and want support during their residency process. I think that Dr. IJ was also one of my mentors there as well. So I think it's a very good resource. You can do that. And I added that to my resume that I'm a member of Black Physicians Canada. So just gives flower to it. And then I think the last thing I did was I got stronger references. When I was retrospecting and reflecting, I found out that one of the things that probably did not make me match last year was one of my references. I think that the person didn't really put in a very strong word for me. It was just a, it was most likely neutral. It was from one of my observerships. I don't want to go too much into it, but I just, did it without him knowing me too much. I don't really know him. I just felt like I needed a Canadian reference, not, underlying the fact that it must be a strong reference from somebody that you're sure. It has to be somebody that you're sure would give you a strong reference. You don't just give a random person your reference to write for you. So I changed that. And I gave my references to people that I was very certain would write strong, use CanMed rules to write strong and understood how to write Canadian references. So it's very important. Regarding the second part of the question, does feedback matter in Canada? I would say feedback really matters a lot. And I practice that, during my associate physician role, just because you don't want to seem stuck up. You don't want to seem like, because some of us have, experience back home, some people 10 years, 5 years, and you come here and they're teaching you some things that you already know. But you need to be sure that you're doing it the Canadian way, not the African way. And so sometimes you need to ask, how did I do today? Just seem teachable, seem approachable, seem humble, seem willing to learn. And sometimes it just makes them even, like you better just because you're asking questions. You always want to know, how you're doing so far. So sometimes when they give you like when they were giving me assessments, like always willing to learn, always asking for feedback. Those are things they actually look out for. And so even Dr. IG was telling me, even in residency, it's very necessary to always seek feedback, in residency. And I think it's something to always look out for.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. It's way beyond time. I just want to be very professional. Because of that, we're going to take only 2 questions or 3 questions. Anyone who wants to ask a question, feel free to unmute your mic. You agree with me that's very unprofessional to keep people beyond the time that you agree with them. Yeah. So
hello everyone.
Yeah, any question? And if you want to ask a question, introduce yourself. Yeah, I can hear you. You can introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Ekyosu.
Then we need to give me a second. We just have to put you on the video if you are wherever.
Sorry, I'm on my baby. I just
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry about that. It's just So Peter, I just want to find out. Thank you. Lovely to be part of this meeting. I just want to find out about the reference. I wasn't aware that all references have to be from the specialty where you want to apply. So I did pediatric residency back home. Okay, so trying to explore that here, also keeping in mind that family medicine could also be a good alternative as well. Okay, so looking at references, yes, plan to, because I wasn't aware that I was supposed to get both references from all 3 from family medicine, all 3 from pediatrics as well. So that's like a shock to me. And then some patients told me about doing getting references from volunteer centers. I'd like to know where that and how that comes in the whole CARMS application. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. Lastly, please, for research, are we supposed to can we put ongoing researches as well, or they have to all be publications? Yeah, I think that's
I will answer the research part of the question. Go ahead.
Yeah, you must have seen me shaking my head. No, all references don't have to be from the specialty, right? It's good that you have it to be a plus for you if you're able to get references from, like, let's say a family physician, for family, if you're applying to family medicine, but you don't necessarily have to have all your references being from family doctors. You can have somebody, I think somebody was from internal medicine that wrote to my family medicine, one of my family medicine references for me. So it doesn't really matter. But if you can, at least have one that is from the specialty you're applying to.
Thank you. And then for the research question, our answer is very straightforward. Don't come to a gun battle with a catapult or with a cutlass, right? So we know that research is graded in different forms. The most important thing in research is participate and show that you're participating and then you're advancing medicine. If first level and ongoing research is one of the ways to show that you're participating and you're making you're being actively driving the narratives in medicine, that is a good thing. It's not going to be rejected. However, a published research will always be taken as a completed project than an ongoing project, but different programs, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the US and in Canada view these things differently. There's some ongoing research that it's really very exemplary that you've not published. For example, we're doing a project on hypertension in the Spanish currently in Miami and other modifying factors. We can't complete it in the next 10 years, but it's a very great thing to put in your resume or in the Spanish population, in your resume that's ongoing, and we can talk about it. That, you know, these guys are dying of stroke every day, right? But if we had published it, it's a lot better. And there's case reports, then there's meta-analysis, and there's prospective design. So everything will, you know, all great. Now, this unpublished things, or there's also even editorials, even newspaper write-ups, the things that I've written a lot of newspaper columns also fall in. Anything that you've written online can also come in there because it can be PubMed index, peer-reviewed, non-peer reviewed. There's so many ways. In this IMG Research Academy, we talk about these things in whole so that you can understand the different differences and how you can maximize it. However, a half research is better than zero research almost all the time. Even though that research is one of the moving parts, but from my perspective, I think it's a very important moving part, very, very important moving part in the whole cascade of stories, be you in the US, be you in Canada, be you in UK. As a physician, you should be able to, you know, conduct basic clinical research, you know, in seeing patients, and then translate those research to how you can use it to better health outcomes in your patient population. I don't know if I'm at variance, Dr. IJ and Dr. Chibuzo, on this research team.
Dr. I think you are just on point. It doesn't have to be published, but you have to show that you are doing something. But published papers are more appreciated. You can be in a group of 5, like in 5 groups that are having ongoing research. But I think in CARMS, there's a place where they will tell you to upload your abstract in CARMS. So it's always good to have like 1 or 2 published papers just for that purpose.
Right. And you know what we're recommending for people generally is one is not enough. It's my personal perspective. So you can't be ongoing 1, ongoing 2, ongoing 3, ongoing 4. Are you now the professor of ongoing? I mean, you publish 3, you publish 2, and then maybe 1 or 2 maybe ongoing. But if you now do 10 ongoing, come on, are you Mrs. Ongoing? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It becomes unreasonable.
Unreasonable.
Yes.
I mean, somebody might even say you're lying because anybody can wake up and say, I'm doing an ongoing research, right?
And you need there's a place for uploading an abstract. You need to not keep it vacant.
Right. But if you've done something in the past, like masters, your thesis and your PhD, something that you've published in the past, many of us who schooled back in Nigeria had a lot of community medicine projects that we've done in the past. Dust it up and publish it. And these days, to even publish is so easy. And look at advertisers.
That's what I wanted to do, only to find out my professor have published my work without my knowledge and didn't add my name on it. And guess what? That work is in U of T, and I'm going to take it down.
Wow.
We'll talk about it. We'll
make
talk
sure
about
your professor
this.
didn't publish it. If they haven't, please go ahead and make sure you publish it before they do.
Exactly. All right. Final question from
any volunteer
participant.
works. So you didn't have my last question.
On what?
Volunteering. They said
volunteering and getting letters from the places that you volunteer.
Letters. I don't know about letters, but volunteering is good for your resume, right?
Community service. That's it. You don't need letters.
Yeah, you don't need letters.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
There's one thing we are forgetting. Continuous medical education. So again, if you have attended conferences, you can use those topics under your continuous medical education. Again, so it's like good.
Thank you so much. Last question. And then there are other people who I see have been giving advice on the chat. If you're free to say 1 or 2 things, Dr. Chibuzo and Dr. IJ, we're immensely grateful for your time. Last question, unmute your mic and speak. Introduce yourself and go for it. I saw somebody's hand up. Okay, in the absence of any question, does anyone have any other thing to say? Dr. Annie, I see you raise your hand
Oh,
again.
yeah, sorry. I didn't know you were calling me to talk. Thank you so much, Dr. IJ, Dr. Chibuzo, Dr. Eddie, all of you that
If
make
you're
this
on
possible.
camera, you can unmute your camera. If there's anything like unmute your camera, but if not, that's fine. You can speak like that.
Okay,
Right. I
my
figured you're on
thing.
camera, and then your camera slide is still closed.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I can't be able to show
It's
my
okay. Go
camera.
ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you guys once again. My question is this: for someone who has stayed like up to 3 years of practice, and the person wants to follow CARMS, what is your advice to the person? That's one. The second one is for someone who got a master's here in Canada and are here to related course, maybe public health or stuff. Does it have any advantage? Thank you.
All right, Dr. Chibuzo, Dr. IJ, any of you can take it.
Sorry, you said, did you say 3 years of practice? More than
Right.
3?
Last clinical exposure was 3 years ago.
Oh, 3 years ago. Okay. Like Dr. IJ said, last recency of practice is important, but it's not the most important, especially if you can show that you're continuously doing something, you're continuously learning. So if the reason why you're away from practice for 3 years is because you're doing your master's in public health, that's something good, right? So you can easily try to make that in your favor. You're someone that is very good with scholarly activity and you like continuous learning, and so you've gone back into your master's degree, but try to have maybe some observerships that you do low-key on the ground, that you're still staying in touch with medicine while you're doing that, just to make sure that your CV is cohesive, right? So I don't think it should be, if it's 3 years, 4 years, I know people with 5 years, as long as you can fill in that gap. Some schools will say, explain the gap. Why have you not been, working? And so as long as you can explain it and you have not just been sleeping at home, it should not be a problem for you. And that's my personal opinion.
Right.
They like
Yeah,
they
go ahead.
like recency of practice in this Canada, especially if you're going for practice ready. You need to go back home. To be honest, I did go back home. It was mad with 3 children, having been away for so I was so scared with
I remember
trailers.
we talked when you were back home.
I think the day I was coming back, Dr. Eddie called me. I was so worried. Where have you been? I'm like, I'm just coming in. Anyways, if you can go back home, it's very important. Like this, the competition is so high that whatever you need to do, just do it and match at once. Like first, when you start going through different circles, then it becomes demoralizing. So if you can go back home, that would be great. But if you can't, then you need to package other areas to be strong. If you are more than 3 years, I will suggest you go back home. If you are less than 3 years, that's a gray area. You can actually try and make sure that things are happening on the background. For someone that did masters in public health, that's very good, especially if you're applying to family and community medicine, public health. If you're applying for residency in there's a particular program, I've forgotten the name now, but it's public health and family medicine together in residency, then that's a very big plus. But if you are going to apply to maybe gynae, ops and gynae, it's just a postgrad. So it depends on the program that you're actually applying to. Then it becomes more important or less. Yeah, that's what I think.
Wow. Dr. Queen, you agree with me that we've actually really done a thorough, maybe not all encompassing, but at least we've been able to touch so many areas within this short time. And we've actually spent a lot of time. I don't know if we're in agreement to this.
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. So thank you, everyone. This brings us to the end. This conversation on how to get into the Canadian residency program. It was quite an eventful conversation. Thank you, Dr. Chibuzo. Thank you, Dr. IJ. Sorry, I call you guys by your first name, probably because we,
if you call me by another name, you are looking for trouble. Just call me IJ.
All right. So for everyone listening to us, I hope this today's discussion has not only informed, but also inspired you to take the next bold step in your Canadian residency dream. Remember that this path is complex, but with clarity and with guidance, precision, and with the help of the Holy Spirit. I usually put that whenever I'm talking. It's absolutely within your reach. Absolutely. Keep pushing, keep preparing. Come December, January, February, whenever the different itineraries or different cycles will happen, we want to hear good news again, that people march from here. We hope to bring more people back to speak if they have time. Dr. Yvonne was just chatting me behind the scene, Dr. Trish, so many other people want to speak. And if Dr. IJ and Dr. Chibuzo is also free to come and speak again, we'll gladly, embrace you back. It's so many people are lost in the sea of waves. This person said, that person said, I don't even know what to do. Here, we're trying to bring all these whole moving parts together in different series to break them down. My name is Dr. Okobi Edwards. I'm the anchor and the pioneer also of this group. The white coat moment in Canada. It's very possible. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. D. Before we go, I see from the search, a lot of people are just trying to get my contact or how to reach me. You can reach me through Dr. Eddie, November 1. Okay, so because I don't know how to, when it comes to IMGs and CARMS, I'm so emotional, I want to do everything. So I may just be crazy and not read for my exam. When I was in my certification in Ireland, I almost failed because I was busy with CARMS. I only studied for 1 week. So this time I want to give it my best. November 1, contact Dr. D. Dr. D will link you up.
Wish you happy preparations in the exam. Once again, my name is Dr. Okobi Edwards. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.